Espejo and I are reaching a point in our work where he is starting to ask me more adamantly how sure I am that he goes with me versus maybe I should start going with him. As a young stallion, the pull of the mares is starting to get stronger and stronger. But if I can use this time wisely, it will give me the opportunity to actually build a better basis of understanding from him in terms of getting really specific with how I want him to respond to the cues that I give him. This ride took about 40 minutes in total. What I did in this video is we edited out a lot of repetition and left in the important points. So here we're starting off, and he's a little rushy, and then here we go. So what I need to work with him on is that when I put pressure on the rein, I want that very specific response of him giving me his inside hind foot. So what you're seeing here is right there where he crosses over with his inside hind in front of his outside hind. That's where he's yielding that foot to me. But if I just keep asking for the hind foot and I don't pay attention to what's happening on the outside of his body, he's going to actually start to fall out. So that's why I ask for a crossover with your inside hind. Now step in with your inside fore. Crossover behind, step in. Crossover behind, step in. So the reality of what's going on here is that I'm starting to really go deeper and deeper into I need to be able to talk to all 4 feet with just one rein. If this is not what's going on, the only thing I can do is to start to hold him with both reins, which is, of course, very tempting to do. The problem with it is that it's not really addressing the reality of what's going on with the horse. Once he really understands that when I put pressure on the right rein, he should give me that right hind without falling to the outside to the left, then I've really got him with me. And it's very subtle and doesn't require holding. So very briefly there, I got a bit of that. So I pick him up, get the yield, and release him. And of course, right now, he just keeps leaving. So he keeps running into his pressure over and over and over again. So really, ultimately, the strongest tool I've got is his mind. So if I can make it his idea to start to ask me, should we go here or should I stick with you, then I've got a powerful tool. If I can't get his mind involved in the work and I just turned it into holding, that becomes a way of life. And I will never be able to access the deepest parts of what the horse can naturally give me when I'm holding him. So here we go. This is a pretty decent walk here. I don't expect that it's going to last forever, though. So what I'm really thinking in a ride like this is that I'm not actually riding to solve this today. I'm riding for tomorrow. So you can just see repeated hindquarters forehand, hindquarters forehand, until he gives me the true yield that I'm asking for, and then I release him immediately, knowing full well that he's going to leave again. But if I never give him the release, he's never going to figure it out. So if he can start to stay with me for longer and longer periods where I'm not holding him, we'll get to where it becomes the norm rather than what I've got here where it's just the very brief spots. So I am using a supporting outside rein, but that's all it is. There's no holding in it. as I'm using my inside rein to ask him to cross over behind, I'm also using my inside leg. And then when I open my rein and ask him to step in, I use outside leg. So I'm getting him to where I'm turning him between my legs. So while this, is clearly a horse that's not with its rider in entirety by any stretch of the imagination, we're actually building to the next level. I never expect that with a horse that they're not going to ask these hard questions about how sure am I that I know what I'm talking about. So I don't look at this as a bad ride. I look at this as a very important ride, and if I work it well, we'll end up further down the road. So now what's going on here is as he starts to drop the root of his neck, I know that next he's going to start to rush. So I start to pick him up, and he's getting to where some of the time he'll come back to me without requiring the full disengage. So the full disengage is hindquarters forehand. So now same thing at the trot. He's kind of getting a little rushy there. I'm asking him to come back. He elevated, and then he elevated again, and he elevated again. And here I'm getting a little bit slower tempo. I'm going to be happy with getting little changes. I want him to know that he's thinking in the right direction. And he gets a little rushy again, but now I'm not having to go into the full disengage every single time. So clearly I want to build on this and get to where I can really slow that tempo down. But like I said, when I get him thinking in the right direction, that's something I really can build on.